Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to episode 1 of the ASIC Podcast. This will be the first episode of many to come. I'm Ziming, I'm a volunteer at ASIC, and I work at Black Blitz Airsoft.
I'm Ryan, I work at Siege Airsoft, and I also volunteer and help out with ASIC. So Z, before we get started on all the stuff we want to talk about, what exactly is ASIC for those who don't know?
So for the longest time, ASIC to me just looked like basic without the B. So we're actually going to update the logo so the AS and IC are a little different. So I can unsee that part.
So what does the ASIC stand for then?
So ASIC is Airsoft.in.Canada. We're an organization that formed in response to an emergency. And that emergency was when on February 16th, 2021, our government announced that they intended to ban airsoft.
Yeah. I thought COVID was hard enough, and now there's a possibility that Airsoft in Canada is going to be gone.
There's no logic or actual reasoning behind this bill. It's not evidence-based. It's a lot. But anyway, so what this bill does, well, for those of you that don't know, airsoft guns in Canada are classified as firearms. So it meets the definition of a firearm, but it does not meet the requirement to be classified as a non-restricted, restricted, or prohibited firearm.
Typically, those are for real guns.
Yes, so those are the 3 classifications of real guns. So because it doesn't meet those classifications, it doesn't meet those requirements, then it's sort of a uncontrolled firearm. So because it meets the definition of a firearm, it's exempted for like the licensing, transport, and storage laws, basically.
Yes. But still be smart with them.
Yeah. So most airsoft guns are uncontrolled firearms. Some are replica firearms. But in Canada, you generally don't have replica firearms because replica firearms are prohibited. Now, the thing here is that in order to be a replica firearm, by definition, it has to not be a firearm. So those are airsoft guns that don't meet the definition of a firearm, which doesn't really apply too much here. What Bill C-21 does is it changes the definition of replica firearm, and then it adds a section at the end to say that, okay, if there are firearms that also resemble real guns, but in itself it is not a real gun, it is also a prohibited device. It's not based on public safety. It's purely based on appearance, because the wording that they use a lot is designed or intended to exactly resemble or to resemble with near precision a firearm.
So Z, that's probably the most discussed part about C-21 is how it's going to change how the airsoft guns themselves are classified. In terms of other things in the bill, there's one big thing about advertising, and that especially applies to a person like me who makes videos for Siege, or someone like you who makes videos for Black Blitz and yourself and other businesses and content creators and so on and so forth. So how does C-21 affect the advertising or the marketing or like any form of depictions of these things? Because that's pretty interesting.
So one thing that C-21 would add is a part that says, every business or every person referred to below commits an offense that advertises a firearm in a manner that depicts, counsels, or promotes violence against a person. So basically, like, the law is to make it so that you're not supposed to advertise a real firearm as being good for home defense, which doesn't happen in Canada anyway.
Yeah.
This is something that happens in the States. But, like, you're not allowed to advertise it like that. But because airsoft guns in Canada are classified as firearms, it would basically make it illegal to advertise an airsoft field like Siege, where we're filming this, by using in-game footage. Airsoft basically is you shooting your friends who are also shooting back at you with toy guns.
Yeah, without hurting them.
Like that's the whole that's the whole premise of it.
Yeah. So any marketing around airsoft that is not just like, a gun on a table doing nothing, basically would be criminal. And not just that, but like gameplay footage and stuff used for those kinds of purposes. So like if you're a content creator or if you wanted to design your own product in airsoft, which a lot of people do, and they want to use footage for that, like a small business or something like that, that would also be legal.
Yeah, like
which is pretty insane.
Yeah, like I've been in a video advertisement for a product before which involved me firing that product at another person. It was the Airsoft Innovations 40 mic, and I shot Pia with it.
I was right here. Yeah,
that was fun. That was here a few years ago. Yeah. That would become illegal. There would be a criminal offense for that.
Yeah, or any of the YouTube videos that I make that go over like dry fire and stuff like that. That would be illegal.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, practice or it's like gameplay footage. If we wanted to show off, like I just went to a Blackline event that was really sick, like helicopter stuff. And if I wanted to post videos of that in order for me to promote that or do something around that is business related, it would be illegal.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah. It's like there are lots of parts of Bill C-21 that are very, very, very poorly written.
Yeah,
and these are just two small aspects that affect airsoft.
Yeah, in a huge way.
I highly recommend all of you that are watching this to look at the rest of the bill and see why it is a very, very poor return on investment for public safety.
Mm-hmm. In terms of like the formation of ASIC and stuff like that, can you give like a super brief history of how it was formed as kind of the response to all this terrible news?
Well, for me, the day that C-21 was announced, I was just really, 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 really angry. Then the day after, I was like, okay, I'm going to put together a community video that's meant to show non-airsofters what airsoft is and what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And there were other people in the community that had similar ideas and had other ideas on what they could do to help save airsoft in Canada. And basically what happened was there were a lot of separate people doing separate things, and one person was like, hey, we're all motivated, intelligent individuals. We're all working towards the same goal. Mm-hmm. Let's all work under the same umbrella. So ASIC started as just a group chat, and then very quickly became ASIC. Yeah, they definitely thought that we were just a bunch of losers in our basements playing with BB guns. They didn't expect us to be this organized.
Yeah, an actual force.
Yes.
And speaking of force, a big part of ASIC and what we've been doing is actually reaching out to the businesses and the fields and stuff that allow you guys to, have stuff in play.
Yeah.
So do you have a bit more information on the impacts of those kinds of things and the data around that?
Yeah, we have provincial representatives. And we're forming a business advisory council so that we can represent both business interests and player interests.
Mm-hmm. We've grown considerably since then.
Yeah, it's actually quite incredible how quickly we were able to organize for ASIC. Within a week, we were able to start with community surveys and get data. The data that we collected was actually presented in Parliament by Shadow Minister of Public Safety, Shannon Stubbs. Thank you, Shannon Stubbs.
Yes, thank you, Shannon. Yeah. Zimming's name was eternally read in the halls of Parliament, as were other businesses and Airsoft in Canada, which was pretty crazy considering, this organization, the roots of it are, I would consider, very old. The name of it itself is pretty new because we need this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. We have a business outreach division. We have player outreach, community outreach. Mm-hmm. We have a media division.
Yeah, the meme team, also known as us. So we're really kind of trying to reach out and get this information like this out to you guys in a really digestible way.
Yeah, we also have political outreach. We were a member of our group was actually the one that worked with Terry Dowdall of Simcoe Grey, the MP for Simcoe Grey, to get e-petition 3201. Thank you, Terry.
Yes, thank you, Terry.
This is a petition that recently closed that got how many signatures?
It was almost 40K.
Yeah,
pretty crazy amount, and it was it was the largest e-petition going on at the time, eclipsing all of the other ones considerably.
Speaking of petitions, make sure you sign the new petition.
Yeah.
E3249.
Yeah, 249.
Which is also
it's quickly growing. It has over 15,000 signatures. Get in on it. You can sign more than one petition.
And we've done an economic survey.
Mm-hmm.
In that survey, we found that airsoft in Canada, airsoft and the paintball airgun industry is at least a $100 million industry in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
We've identified at least 309 small businesses that would be impacted by C-21. Basically, all airsoft and paintball companies in Canada are small businesses. About half of them are retailers, and about half of them are fields. So I represent a retailer, you represent a field.
Perfect. So. Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Yes. So of the businesses that we've interviewed, 78% expect to lose half or more of their revenue.
Yeah, and that's on top of what's been going on with COVID and all that stuff too. So it's been a devastating little bit for Airsoft.
What is it? Iron Sights Airsoft in Grand Prairie already closed down after C21 was announced.
Yeah.
And just earlier last week, Devil Dog Airsoft announced that they're closing as well.
Yeah, and I played at that field a few times. That really hit pretty hard. There also is another thing going on, which is the Great Canadian Airsoft Census, as we like to call it.
Yes.
So could you explain that a bit?
Basically, we have a census going on so that we can collect information on airsoft players, where you're located, what you do.
How this bill will affect you, what kind of airsoft you like to play, how often do you play, how much do you spend on it, stuff like this. Just important data points.
Yes, we're going to have the census link. Please fill it out.
Yeah.
The goal is so that we can let the government know who they're hurting.
Yeah, and I'm going to get a little mean here, but if you can go to a store and, oogle at guns right now, you can take like 5 minutes out of your day to just like fill this out. This is so important for us right now, just to fill out these petitions and forms. It's the least you guys can do. As part of saving
because
our sport. Yeah.
This is the only way to get official representation.
Yeah, and this might be just like, why would they care about how much I'm affected? It's like, well, here's a number. Here's how many people are affected by this. Here's this, and this.
Yes.
Here's how much time people even spend driving to their facilities and stuff. It's all really important. It's all good to know, so that way they can create so you'd have some facts to back up what you want to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also time to write again to your MPs if you already have. And if you haven't, it's time to write your first letter. I'm going to write to my MP again, even though she ignored me the first time.
It honestly does not matter if you get a canned response or if they even respond back. What's important is that they know that they kind of kicked a bee's nest.
Yeah, even if your MP ignores you like mine did.
Like mine did too, yeah.
They need to know how many people are being hurt by this bill. Because, I know my MP doesn't actually care about me. My MP cares about getting elected, and now that she's been elected, she cares about getting reelected.
Yes.
So I, got to convince her that supporting C21 as is not a good way to get reelected.
So with all that being said, what are the ultimate future goals for Airsoft in Canada and moving forward from all this?
Well, I'm sure we can agree. The short-term goal is to defeat Bill C21.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to recognize that Bill C21 is not really the problem.
Yeah.
It's a symptom of the problem.
Yeah.
The problem that we have to address is the public perception of Airsoft. And we really need to all work together as a community to destigmatize Airsoft in Canadian culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we want is people to think of Airsoft guns as toys, not fake guns.
Yeah. We need to really normalize, destigmatize, and educate about how Airsoft really is. And, you guys have proven that for sure.
Airsoft is really not a threat to public safety, and there are countries like Japan that prove that. Mm-hmm. Where in Japan and in places like Taiwan, Airsoft is prevalent in the culture, and people just accept that they're toys. It's just a normal thing.
Yeah, I mean, they have shooting competitions and night markets and stuff like that. It's super normalized.
Yeah. Whereas here, the only reason we're afraid of guns is because of American culture that's sort of blood up onto us.
Yeah. And if it's not going to be Bill C21, even after we defeat it, we can't just throw in the towel and be like, all right, guys, we won, it's over,
Yeah.
Because as long as the environment for these kinds of legislations to come out still exists, is going to come out again.
Yeah, it won't. This was the first time, but it won't be the last time that the government will attack our sport, unless we can change something about public opinion. Mm-hmm. Because the only reason the government would do something like this is because they think that they will gain public support. Mm-hmm. If we change public opinion, and we prove to them that it is a grossly unpopular idea to ban our sport, then they're not going to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So our goal then is, after the destigmatization process, it would be best if Airsoft were allowed to exist in its own legal framework. Mm-hmm. Because right now, Airsoft exists under the legal framework of firearms. Originally, when the last firearms legislation was passed, there was an exemption for air guns, but airsoft didn't exist back then in Canada in any
meaningful sense.
Yeah, in any meaningful capacity. Yeah. So the exemptions missed airsoft.
Yeah, and we need a separate and protected place for airsoft to exist in Canada, not just being in where it is now. So that way they can't come after us again.
Yeah, that way they can't just,
at least in the same way, know?
Yeah, of course. So to reiterate, we've done a lot of really good work, and thank you guys for taking part.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry Dowdle. Thank you, Shannon Stubbs. Thank you so much.
And to all the MPs, you guys know who you are. And, of course, the entire community for coming together in such an awesome way to save our hobby from extinction, really, in Canada.
Thank you, FSAQ, for helping us with our census. Mm-hmm. And remember, the link to our census is included. Please go fill it out. Yeah. Let the government know who they're hurting.
Yes.
Also, don't forget about e-petition 32449.
249, pretty easy to remember for all you airsofters.
The gun that you never buy in video games.
Exactly.
Because it's expensive and it sucks.
Yep. There's over 15,000 signatures on that one, and we really would love you to sign that and confirm your email to make sure that you, confirm your email to make sure that your signature counts.
Write your MPs.
Yeah. Don't stop writing them, even if they give you some copy and paste response or anything like that. Let them know who they're hurting.
Yes. And make sure that you talk to your friends and family in a kind and convincing way. Don't be angry. Have open dialogue with people. We want our communities to understand that airsoft can exist in a reasonable manner and is not a threat to public safety. Mm-hmm. And they're just toys.
Yeah. Airsoft has a place in society.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes episode 1 of the ASIC Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I'm Zeming.
I'm Ryan, and we hope to see you up for the next one. We got plenty more coming. Stay strong, guys, and we got this.